Let it snow. This podcast is a Bible study using Accordance Bible software. No knowledge of accordance is required, nor any knowledge of Hebrew or of Greek. Christmas holidays are upon us once again, and many of us in the United States associate it with snow. Alas, I live in Florida, where Accordance Bible software has its company offices. We don't see much snow here, ever. So some of us find ourselves at Christmas time longing for and even searching for snow. Then I thought of searching for snow in the Bible. With just a bit of tongue-in-cheek, I thought this would make a fine Bible study this Christmas season, and a great illustration of how to do a topical Bible study. Let's search for snow in the ESV Bible. It turns out that the word snow occurs 24 times in the ESV, once in each of 24 different verses. An analysis of the results shows 4 different words translated snow. From top to bottom, there are 1 in Greek, 2 in Hebrew, a verb and a noun, and 1 in Aramaic. There's also 1 hit without a key number. We can find that hit by searching for snow with no key number. Let's run that search. Here, at 1 Chronicles 11:22, the ESV translates sheleg with the phrase, when snow had fallen, and tags the word fallen rather than the word snow. This means we really need to count this hit as another occurrence of sheleg. Before we go too far, let's exercise due diligence. We'll check to see if these original language words were translated any other way than snow. This is pretty easy to do with a key number tagged Bible, even without any knowledge of Hebrew or Greek. We just search for all the key numbers listed in analysis, then compare the number of hits. Since the key number search here shows the same number of hits, 24, we can be confident that the ESV translators were consistent, translating these words only as snow. Now that we know that, we can return to our original search for snow. Accordance's topic search is yet another way to find relevant verses in the Bible. A shift click on it in the info pane will find all the verses on the topic of snow. Now in this case, I'm not particularly hopeful that this topical search will yield any more verses than a word search. Let's try it anyway. Accordance found 23 verses, 1 less than the word search, which is actually kind of unusual. I reviewed these results quickly and found that there were no verses that the word search hadn't already located. Still, I'm glad I checked, as a topic search often reveals additional relevant verses. Now, let's click the topic snow and read the article on it in the Erdman's Dictionary of the Bible, which I have set as my default dictionary. It's short enough that we can read the entire article if I close Instant Details. The mountains of Upper Galilee, the high ground of Edom, and the central hill country may receive snow, while the lower Galilee, the coastal plain, and the Jordan Rift are generally subtropical. Every 2 or 3 years, Jerusalem will have a foot of snow on the ground, while Jericho's farms, 24 kilometers, that's 15 miles east, but 914 meters or 3,000 feet lower, are growing citrus. The western slopes of the high ground are, therefore, much more likely to receive snow. Snowfall was not a significant factor for Israel's agriculture, but melting snow from Mount Hermon was an important source of water for the Jordan River and the Sea of Galilee. An actual snowfall is mentioned only in 2 Samuel 23:20, 1 Chronicles 11:22, and 1 Maccabees 13:22. Snow is most often mentioned in reference to God as creator of the elements, Isaiah 55:10-13. Figuratively, snow represents the whiteness of skin caused by leprosy, Exodus 4:6 and 2 Kings 5:27, and purity resulting from God's cleansing of sinners, Psalm 51:7, Isaiah 1:18. Notice that most of this article deals with the literal use of snow in Israel, while the shorter paragraph identifies 2 figurative uses. Let's test this article's summary against our own reading of these verses. Often the best way to assess a word's use in the Bible is simply to read all the verses in which it appears. With only 24 hits for snow, that's very doable in this case. It's also often helpful to keep a tally of the ways in which writers used a word. Here's a chart I completed as I read through these verses. This first-hand reading enables us to assess secondary resources better, like the Bible dictionary article we just read, and other resources, which we'll locate in the next step of our study. A statistical analysis, the two columns on the right, gives us a feel for how often the word is used in different ways. In this case, I observed that most of the Bible's references were to snow and snowy weather. Of the two figurative uses, snow as a measure of whiteness is twice as common as snow as a gauge of purity or cleanliness. At this point, we're ready to go outside the Bible for more information. After all, we can hardly expect the Bible's authors to include common knowledge in their books, information they could take for granted their readers already knew. Here is also where we can benefit from Live Click, which I hope you've enabled in your Accordance application. Here are my preferences for this feature. Note that I usually search for key numbers in an English Bible. In this case, which is more of a topical study and one that spans both testaments, I'll need to hold the Shift key down when I click. That will search for the word snow instead of its key number in a particular verse in the Old or New Testament. Okay, let's click the word snow. Now, the upper tab, which reads Lexicon Lookup, has searched all my Bible dictionaries for snow. That's going to be helpful. However, I don't particularly care where snow appears in other texts for this study, which is what is in the lower tab, Word Usage. Instead, I'm going to switch it to a search of all my atlases, given that most of the uses in the Bible are about snow, literally. I'm also going to drag that tab up into the top zone so I have a bit more room to read each entry. There. Now I'm ready to review information from both my atlases and my Bible dictionaries. Here's a summary of the information I gathered from my research. Snow in Israel is most often seen on the mountaintops, including the hills of Galilee and the Golan Heights. It is especially visible on Mount Hermon, where it typically persists from December through June. The sun reflects off these peaks, causing them to shine and making them visible from far away. Their distant luminosity probably gave rise to the Bible's use of snow as an image of whiteness and purity. Snow and ice also linger in mountain caves and crevices, from which they were once collected to cool wine. Snowmelt from Mount Hermon is still the greatest source of water for the Jordan. And snow is otherwise uncommon in Israel. Jerusalem gets snow most years, but it usually melts the next day. The last recorded snowfall on Israel's coastal plain was in 1950. The last step in our study is to find pictures of snow, which we're going to do by adding another research tab. Not all resources with pictures are in the library folder Visual, so we're going to choose to search All Tools for any image caption containing the word snow. And here are our results. Pictures of snow. Here's a sample of the photographs I found. As one might expect from the summary, most of the pictures I found of snow were on Mount Hermon. Here's one from the Photo Guide Israel, showing Mount Hermon in the distance. These two, both from BAS and showing blooming poppies, provide visual evidence of how the snow lingers long into late spring. Returning to the Photo Guide Israel, here is one showing the snowmelt runoff from Mount Hermon on its way to the Jordan. And here's a nice photo from the Anchor Yale Bible Dictionary. It's of a strainer used to cool wine using the icy snow that remained in the mountain crevices. Finally, here are two of snowfall in Judea. The first, a typical snowfall on a vineyard from Todd Boland's Trees, Plants, and Flowers of the Holy Land, and the second, an exceptionally heavy snowfall in Jerusalem from Carta's Jerusalem in 30 AD. Wherever you're at in the world this holiday season, you now know how to find snow, at least in the Bible. I'll admit I had a bit of fun putting together this holiday podcast. However, it is a good demonstration of how to do a topical Bible study, and one which I hope will be helpful for your next topical study. Meanwhile, on behalf of the entire Accordance Bible Software team, let me wish you a very Merry Christmas, or whatever other special holiday you and yours may be celebrating this season. This has been Dr. J for Accordance Bible Software. Thank you for watching this episode of Lighting the Lamp.